Okay, and here we are. So, looking at how to become a business consultant freelancer. So, right now I'm looking at the section 4 on how to conduct a proper research as a freelance consultant. And after you know what consulting business is, you choose a profitable niche, you create an offer, you prove that a practice in the market to get some real feedback by landing some additional clients. You know how to send service agreements, you know how to secure payments, you gain some traction, you also get some progress on that. Now, the ultimate goal is to scale your business to multiple clients because this will give you is more in, incoming or more cash flow from different companies, perhaps different fields, from different industry, and diversify your source of income. And something that align to what I have learned so far with the how to become or from my financial learning series from Morningstar, such as uh, that investor must have discipline and patience. And there are a couple of things that you can do, especially for dealing market on terms, such as maintain a well diversified portfolio and dollar cost averaging. And maintain a well diversified portfolio is crucial to minimize risk as much as possible. And that's the thing that scale to multiple business is essential, is crucial, because you want to minimize the risk as much as possible. And ultimately, we all end up creating some business. You like it or not, the entire system is going to push you there. So, one thing that you can do is to let the curiosity of your child guide your life with the temperament of your adolescence, the responsibility of the adult, and the wisdom of your old self. But in any case, so here I'm looking at this section 4 on how to conduct a proper research as a consulting freelancer. And first is how to conduct that research and gather quality data. And especially for, uh, since data is very powerful because it can influence people, it also can influence you, can inform you, can persuade to others, it also can be misleading. So when you're doing a consulting project or when you conduct a research for a consulting project, it's important to understand there are type of data that are the most valuable and the least valuable. So the first party data are the most valuable because this is data that the company has collected. They usually it is usually confidential, so you have to sign an NDA for that. And and after the client signed that contract with you with the NDA, and now he's willing to work with you. So getting historical data as far back as they have to know what they have done in the past and help you to influence your decision and recommendation. So then I look at the second party data from trust sources, whether it comes from a pay or free source. These are trustworthy sources because they have a great record, uh, peer review, in research. See, So they have, so it's a credible source. So they're not anonymous source. So they have a great record of data, research report, peer review, and then you want to keep these two set of notes, one from the first and the second party data. And then you have is the third party data from aggregate sources. This is the least valuable source because most of the time the quality of the source is not always verified. And usually this type of data are behind a paywall. And you may not know every single author. So when conducting a research for a consulting, when conduct a research for a consulting project, just here, that's the context. Okay, so when conduct a research for a consulting project, first identify is the type of data that are the most valuable and the least valuable. Why? Because you can be accurate, precise, and solve their problem as fast as possible. First, to escape the clock, and also to provide and keep going, delivering value to the client. So, first we have is, the first party data. This data comes from the company, data that they have collected, and they usually make you sign an NDA because it is confidential. So once you get that data, so look as far back as they have to see what they have done in the past and to help you influence your decision and recommendation. Okay. And then you have is the second party data, okay, from trusted sources. These are data that are collected from credible sources that whether it is paid or free, it is very beneficial because it comes from a trustworthy source, not anonymous source. They have a great record, research report, peer review, and then you want to keep two separate notes, or you want to keep this two set of notes from the first party data from the company and from this trust source, the second party data. And lastly, the third party data from aggregate sources. This is the least valuable because most of the time you cannot verify the quality of this data, and they usually are behind a paywall. And when you talk about paywall, okay, or famous paywall, all right, okay, paywall, okay, hard paywall, soft paywall, industry, readers, ethical implications, deterioration of the online public sphere, paying to stay informed, exactly, paying to stay informed, counter strategy, disabling the paywall, new revenue initiative, alternative revenue initiative, bypassing paywall. Ooh. For example, using extensions such as AdBlock or anything like that. Abandon paywall initiative. The New York Time selects the original online subscription program is because based on subscription model. Time Select was implemented in 2005 in an effort to create a new revenue stream. Time Select charged $49.95 a year or $7.95 a month. And they love to use this, they love to use this. They freaking love to use this. It's like, man. So, or $50 a year or $8 a year. So you multiply that by 10, you get it 80 months. You get $80 plus 16 you get is $96 if you pay that month. Okay, for online access to the newspaper archive. In 2007, pay subscriptions were earning 10 million. The growth projections were low compared to the growth of online advertising. In 2007, the New York Times dropped the paywall in the post-1980 archive. Pre-1980s articles in PDF are still behind the paywall, but an abstract of most articles is available for free. But an abstract, even though they have that, you know, they have. So the New York Times created a paywall for that. The Atlantic original online content was available only to print subscribers. The Atlantic reintroduced a soft pay of 5 September 2019, which allowed readers to view 5 free articles each month, requiring a subscription to view articles after that. Johnstown Press, Ogden newspaper in Quartz publication. And again, having a media, having a media to inform about things like that is, do they need some source of income? They need source of income. So in any case, so a paywall here is a method of restricting access to content with a purchase of paid subscription, especially news, behind the mid 2010, especially in the especially news beginning in the mid 2010. We're talking about here is the end or at the recovery period from the 2008 bubble. So they took this decision for that. Newspapers started implementing paywall on their website as a way to increase revenue after years of decline in paid print readership and advertising revenue. Partly due to the use of ad blocker in academic research papers are often subject to a paywall and are available via academic libraries that subscribe. So you have paywall. It essentially is a method to restrict access to content. So that is a paywall, according to Wikipedia. Okay? So a paywall is a method of restricting access to content, to data, with a purchase of paid subscription, especially with a purchase or a paid subscription. So they're behind a subscription model. So you want to access this data, you have to pay for that or purchase. In the beginning in the mid 2010, newspapers started implementing paywall on their website as a way to increase revenue after years of decline in paid print readership and advertising revenue, partly due to the use of ad blockers. In academic, research papers are often subject to a paywall and not available via academic library that subscribe. Paywall have also been used as a way to increase the number of print subscribers. Exactly. For example, some newspapers offer access to online content plus delivery of a Sunday print edition at a lower price than online access alone. Newspaper websites such as the Boston Globe and the New York Times use this tactic because it increased both their online revenue and their print circulation, which in turn provide more ad revenue. Newspaper websites such as that the Boston Globe and the New York Times use this tactic because it increased both their online revenue and print circulation. Some newspapers offer access to online content plus delivery of the Sunday print edition at a lower price than online access alone. Uh, okay, okay. Okay. In 1996, the Wall Street Journal set up and has continued to maintain a hard paywall. It continued to be widely read, acquiring over 1 million users by mid 27 at the beginning of the pandemic, and 50 million visitors in March 2008. Mm, Again, this is part of how you capitalize uh, retention here. In 2010, following in the footsteps of the Wall Street Journal, the Times London implementing a hard paywall, a decision which has controversial because unlike the Wall Street Journal, the Times is a general news site, and it was said that rather than paying, users will seek the information without charge elsewhere. The paywall was deemed in practice to neither a success nor a failure, having recruited. Okay, but after all, yes, it's like a blah blah blah. No, again, 20% of the effort to get 80% of the result. Period, man. Period. Period. And the cumulative return over time is vast. For example, here talking about this topic and be able to coordinate sentence because after all I'm not a native English speaker, and over the last 3 years, almost 4 years, I have dedicated time to do this and of course improve my communication skill, analytical and technical as well. So in any case, paywall, okay, so it's a method for restricted it's a method of restricting access to content with a purchase of a paid subscription. So especially new, beginning in the mid 2010, newspapers started implementing paywall on their website as a way to increase revenue after years of decline in paid print readership and advertising revenue, partly to the use of ad blocker in academia. So they see this as a new medium of how they can spread information, okay, uh, basic, basic. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now, It's like documenting my process and do that every day, every day doing that. Why? Because I will have this record of recording me talking and thinking, learning about several topics. So again, paywall is a method of restricting access to content. So with a purchase or a paid subscription. So that's a paywall. It's a method it's a method of restricting access to content with a purchase of paid subscription. Okay. So most of the time, um, whether the second party data or the third party data from these trust sources or from aggregate sources, they usually are behind a paywall, right? Or you can access that for free. So again, the context here is when doing or when conduct a research to a consulting project, there are several type of data from the most valuable to least valuable, and that is data that come from the company. They usually data that they have collect, and they make you sign a NDA agreement because this is data that is highly confidential. So once you get that, you can see as far data, or yeah, you can see as far data as they have, far back as they have, and see what they have done in the past to help you influence your decision and recommendation. So you have that. So you take that first party data, uh, with your own particular notes. Then you have the second party data from trust source that is usually comes from a credible source that have a credible source. So they are not anonymous. They might be behind a paywall or not. But the great thing is that they have a great record of data. It is a credible source, have research report, and peer review. So how can I connect all of that in one sentence? Yeah. So the next type of data is this second. So the next type of data is this second party data from trust sources, uh, that they might be whether it is behind a paywall or not. The benefit of this is it comes from credible sources, so they are not anonymous. They have a great record, research report, peer review, and so on. And then you want to keep this two set of notes from your first and second party data, and then you look at the third party data from aggregate sources. These are the least valuable because since the quality of the data cannot be verified, or it's hard to do that, and also they might be usually behind a third or behind a paywall. Uh, you may not know every single author from that. But again, it's important to know that these are the type of data that you might use, right? Okay, cool. The other is, well, Play Data advocates for you by looking at the data from different perspectives. Okay? Gather as much relevant information as possible. Relevant information, specifically for that consultation problem. Okay? Take notes and keep record of every source you obtain. Okay? Take notes and keep record of every source you obtain. Your first data, second data, first party data, second party data, third party. Evaluate the quality of each source. Again, of course. Look for evidence of quality control. Is this source? Yeah, look for evidence for quality control. So evaluate the quality of each source. Uh, is this from anonymous source? Find out who the exactly. Find out who the author really is. Quality control and poor visual representation. Again, by looking at the place where you can get in your data, the second party data and third party data, evaluate the quality of each source. A metric might be, again, it's up to you. You need to use your intuition for it. But it can be, well, is this come from an anonymous source? Find out who the author really is. Quality control, for example, poor grammar on the website, or this is not a new age design, or something feels a little fishy. Poor visual representation, okay, and then circle back for additional info to your client, right? But again, the quick recap of uh, this section is on how to conduct a proper research and gather quality data. Is that, well, understand that data is something powerful that can help you to inform, to persuade, and to reinforce your point of view, but also can be misleading when it comes to conduct a research for a consulting project, identify what are the most valuable type of data from those who are not, from those that are not. For example, first party data, so data that comes from the company directly, data that they have collect, and they may want you to sign a NDN, non-disclosure agreement. So once you do that, so look as far data back as they have. So look far back as they have. Look far back, because this is a word combination. hmm This is a word combination. I'm not used to that. Okay, look as far back as they have. Getting historical data as far back as they have, exactly. So look up or getting historical data, look up for historical data or getting historical data as far back as they have to see what they have done in the past and to help you influence your decision and recommendations. Then you have the second party data. This comes trust source from trust sources. They might be behind a paywall, a method for a method of restricted access to content with a purchase or a pay subscription. And the benefit of this is it comes from credible sources that they have great record. They have a great record research. Uh, yeah, they have a great record. Okay, so they have a great record, research report, peer review, and so on. And you want to take you want to take two set of notes. Okay, and you want to keep two set of notes, one from the first and the second party data. Okay. Uh, Always play devil advocate, especially when you are analyzing this data. It's important to look at this data from different perspectives. Okay. Gather as much relevant information as possible. Take notes and keep record of every source you obtain and evaluate the quality of the data. Evaluate the quality of each source. So look out for evidence of quality control. And again, here it's all about sources. We're talking about is sources. So once you are identifying is the source of most valuable data to least value, you play devil advocates with this data that you get. You gather as much relevant information as possible. You have set of notes for your first party and second party data. Okay. hmm From first party and second party data, uh, and then you evaluate the quality of those sources. Even though, right? Then you evaluate the quality of those sources from the first party data, second party data, and third party data. Evaluate the quality of those sources by looking at if this comes from an anonymous source. Find out who the author really is. Quality control, meaning that, well, there is some poor grammar on the website, or there's not a new age design, or something feels a little fishy, and poor visual representation. Okay, this is something that you can apply for the data that comes from the company, or from trust sources, or from aggregates. One, and don't forget to circle back to that, right? So again, so now that I understand this and I can repeat that, and understand the reason why I'm repeating this. Very, very important. Why are you repeating this? Then I can look at the next video, which is this. Case of study, conducting research.
In this live case study lesson, I'm going to be showing you how I apply all of my research tips to my consulting client that I am walking you through during this course. The first thing that I did was I went directly to the client's website and I gathered all of the first-party data available to me. In this live case study lesson, I'm going to be showing you how I apply all of my research tips to my consulting client.
The case study, conducting research. Well, case study, conducting research. I mean, I can do this exactly. Okay. What is this? Okay. Okay, so start conducting research. And you got this. Conducting research. That's right.
Client that I am walking you through during this course. The first thing that I did was I went directly to the client's website and I gathered all of the first-party data available to me. That includes looking at their website. The first thing that I did was I went to apply all of my research tips to my consulting client that I am walking you through during this course. The first thing that I did was I went directly to the client's website and I gathered all of the first-party data available to me. That includes looking at their website, going through everything that they offer to understand.
Again, this is part of the conducted research, right? Eventually, if you're looking for their website. Satisfaction guarantee. Satisfaction guarantee. Ah, yeah, man. All right. Yeah, sure. Of course.
All of their products and services. That's the first step. Then the second step is to start to look at the specifics. How much are they charging? Data available to me. That includes looking at their website, going through everything that they...
Looking at their website, so you might do this. First step. Looking at their website. Again, this is very narrow specific to consulting projects based on their expertise, which is marketing and sales, right? Looking at their website.
Offer to understand.
Exactly. So looking at their website, understanding what they offer, understanding what they offer,
all of their products and services. That's
understanding what they offer and all of their product and services. This is something that also can apply to developers because it's to expand a little bit more their perspective of what really matters.
That's the first step. Then the second step is to start to look at the specifics. How much are they charging for?
Exactly. So the second step is to looking
That they offer to understand all of their products and services. That's the first step.
so to understand all their product and services.
Then the second step is to start to look at the specifics. How much?
Okay. Start looking at their specifics.
Are they charging for each of their